Okay. Good evening to everyone. I'm Jamal Al Rashidi, PhD candidate with Dr. Milind Pandit. I welcome you all. This is Dr. Milind Pandit web talk series on language and literature. I'm happy to have an opportunity to participate in this web talk, through which we gain a lot of knowledge. And that is presented by our wonderful and educated professor Milind Pandit, and who spends a lot of his time and energy not to gain something in return, but to enlighten us and to provide us with the essential basics in our research career without complaining, though he doesn't have to do that. But his love for good and helping others motivates him to do what he believes appropriate. I'm not here about mentioning his autobiography because he needs not to be divine. And I believe that you have known him before me many years ago. I knew him a year ago when I joined him, or I joined with him to be my guide for my research. But through my few visits to him, I knew him. I knew him Through my visits to him, I knew him that he is a very humble man and hospitable man. The young respects him before the old one. And today he is about to enlighten us with one of the most appropriate and important topics that troubles many researchers, which is an outline of the PhD thesis, which is considered to be the starting point in the research. This subject is considered important for us as researchers or
Microphone.
for those who are in the process of applying for doctoral studies. Before, before I take your leave, again I welcome you all and invite Dr. Milan Bandit for his detailed deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Several जाते हैं.
Jamal. Quite succinctly, you have
बड़े
spoken
बड़े
of
कर
so
सकते
many
हैं.
things, and
हम्म.
I really
आवाज
feel so happy to have you as a candidate with me.
किसके?
Thank you,
And
sir.
uh, Batane sir, so it is really a great pleasure having you as a research candidate. As we began this initiative last week, before that we had a few hours of discussion, periodically though, on say conducting such talks that could be in the end helpful to the researchers and the candidates interested in improving language skills. And we have received a good response in that regard, and that is really the good news for us. So before moving any further, I mean, discussing these things for a long time, I would like to directly go to my presentation. Instead of presentation, I would like to say my ideas which I have brought to share with you. Let me clarify it that the group which Vinod and others have created has been so active, and the group has been managing everything quite properly, and that is a good thing to happen. And I hope that you receive messages in time, alerts in time. So we shall continue with this pursuit without end. We have already decided that this process is going to be unending. We would be coming here to discuss as many things related to research, literature, theory, and language, particularly research and language being our own, our own focus. So we wish to continue this, and as soon as we find that there are the youngsters being capable of carrying this legacy forward, definitely we would be, the senior academics, part of the audience side. That is what we are verifying right now. Yes, about how to draft a thesis. I mean, how to prepare an outline of thesis. There are also some new members that have joined us. I would like to welcome them to this meeting. And then again, I would like to say, I feel so happy to be associated with each one of you. Let us proceed ahead. I'm sharing here my screen. Baldev? Baldev? हा, स्क्रीन कसं काय शेअर होत नाहीये माझं? हा, हा, विंडो घेऊन बघितली मी. हा, आता इथे दोन ऑप्शन आहेत, एक नीटचा आहे आणि दुसरं RTL आहे. कोणतं कोणतं वापरू? हा, विंडोजला क्लिक केलं, समोर स्क्रीनवर मीटचं एक ऑप्शन आहे आणि दुसरं RLTS 5WAKE. तिचं PhD असं आहे. PhD नाही नाही, दोन जे ऑप्शन आले ना स्क्रीनवर. हा, मग दुसऱ्या ह्याच्यावर करू का? ओके. इथे काहीच येत नाही ना, नुसतं यू आर प्रेझेंटिंग टू एव्हरीवन असं येतं आणि खाली स्टॉप प्रेझेंटिंग असतं. एक सेकंड, मी ट्राय करतो. हा, इथे सुद्धा येत नाही.
हॅलो सर.
हा
सर
तुमची स्क्रीन दिसते सर आता पण.
पण ते मला प्रेझेंट जे
Hello.
करायचं आहे ना, ते येत नाही ना तिथे.
सर सर तुमची बिल्ड जी आहे मिलिंद ना,
हा,
तुमचे
गिव्हन टॉपिक They should forget whatever I have said. This is my kind request to them. But then, when it comes to selection of the topic, we should be, skimming certain areas that could be helping us, and then we should be having that individual and say studious choice. Unless we study an area, it is always the step of a daredevil to enter that area for research. Initially, it can interest us a lot, but as and when we proceed further, we find that there are so many challenges coming our way. And that is why it is important that right at the base, we should be absolutely clear while making selection of a topic. Then we have language and style. The language of research work, I think we discussed it somehow the last time, should be clear. It should have clarity. It should have readability. It should have coherence. Then proper syntax, proper semantics, grammar, diction, capitalization, spelling, punctuation, etc. I mean, these are the features of language that would make the research work absolutely prestigious, readable, and yes, of course, what we can say, decorative. Decorative not in the sense of making use of figures of speech, but then having a beauty of its own. That is what I mean. I shall just get rested on certain issues out of this. For example, clarity is very important. Whatever argument we present should have its thread to our title. Title and subtitle. What is our main title? The subtitle should be related to that, and under subtitle, whatever we argue should have clarity and coherence. The issue of coherence is very important. Otherwise, we are doing one thing and are going to present the other. It would be a situation like that. It would be like making a mess or making a hash of it. So language and style always matter. Syntax. When you go through certain theses, you would come across the fact that the syntax of most of the theses has not been appropriate, has not been up to the mark. And if syntax is missing, then of course clarity and readability would also be missing. And there wouldn't be coherence at all. I mean, these are the elements that are interconnected. We also have to look after the semantics. Whatever we write shouldn't give out any kind of ambiguous interpretation. That's important. Otherwise, that thesis would lose its argument. And then grammar, we should be able to use grammar properly. Then the rest of the things are known to you, but then diction, I would like to again emphasize, is a very important aspect, because even Aristotle has given a lot of emphasis upon this in his Poetics. It is diction that gives rise to thought, and it is the thought that gives rise to character. That is what Aristotle says. Then spelling, punctuation, you already know. And there are also the problems of capitalization. Which words are to be capitalized? I mean, which letter of which word? That should be clearly known to us. Capitalization has always posed problems to our researchers. So capitalization, maybe if possible we shall discuss at length, maybe sometime later. Then objectivity. I have collected certain examples of objectivity and bias that I shall come to slightly after this slide. There shouldn't be any bias or hatred allowed in a research work, because when we refer to a saying called "the pen is mightier than the sword," I mean, if used properly, the pen can create history, but if misused, that can spoil a lot of minds. And that is why it's important that we possess no bias at all in our research work. Because one bad thesis can mislead thousands of readers if it has done. And that is why being minus bias of any kind is the first condition of a good researcher. And this is possible when we remain objective. For example, we have the biases in regard to disability, class, ethnicity, religion, race, caste, sex, etc. So these are the issues that lead to bias. Then we have ethics. I mean, this is the issue of greatest concern at present. We discussed it even in the last, interface of ours. Ethics happens to be the greatest concern of research today. For example, plagiarism. We discussed this concept at certain length. Proper acknowledgement. And now, these two words are very important. Originality and contribution. Do we believe that we can extend something original to the read of someone else? That is a very important issue that could be part of ethics. And then contribution. Is our contribution measurable? Is it original? Have we really contributed something of substance? So originality and contribution, because thesis had generally been taken for a matter of formality by some of the misguided people. But if you ask me, I would like to say a good thesis always makes a good social and public document. Social, official, public document. People can come and refer to that document, and it can, of course, become a guiding source for others. And that is why, if it is original and having capacity to contribute, naturally, it is full of ethics, and it would definitely open ways for further developments in the area of research and knowledge, which ultimately would help the cause of society, nation, humanity, etc. Then we have the registers. Now, the register we have to decide, and it is mandatory for us that whatever register we choose, it should be strictly formal. All the language, all the expressions should carry the sense of formality. There shouldn't be anything informal. Forget about the stages that go beyond informality. So it should be strictly formal, and we should try to avoid archaism. It is said that a novelist like Charles Dickens is not that much studied today because his archaic terms that he has used in his fiction are not, that clear to the people of the day. So archaic terms can be used exceptionally to fetch attention of the reader, the examiner, and from that perspective, it makes some sense. But if archaism is used at a great length, then it makes no sense. We also have some kind of technical language, or that is called jargon as well. This should be strictly avoided. Our register should not have this. And as I said to you, there shouldn't be anything ambiguous. No ambiguous terms are welcome as far as goes the case of good research work. And then again, I would like to repeat certain things from my previous discussion with you. We should avoid concrete or conclusive statements. The habit of the Indians has been that they instantly jump to conclusion, and that ultimately creates problems. It is said because the Indians are highly emotional